In this chapter, we get to kind of get a departure from Toriko and company for the most part and are introduced to and really see a lot about Gourmet Corp and what they're out for.
Toriko Gourmet number 63, Zenith of Evolution.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and appetite-inducing and sometimes slightly gross, but most of the time action-packed and wonderfully detailed tale of Toriko. Anyway, I gotta learn how to roll those R's better so I can be a real type of person, if you know what I mean. But anyway, so Toriko. Toriko. Our last chapter saw us, of course, starting up volume, what are we in here? Volume 8. Volume 8, we started up, and really I think it was kind of signified the end of the BB Corn arc. We wind up, meeting that fellow, the four-armed guy, and finding out his name was Grinpatch, and ultimately at the end of the chapter, he just kind of takes off and is like, we'll meet again, Toriko, and I'll suck you and your little poochie up too. So that's how the chapter ended off. This chapter is kind of neat because it takes us for a turn. It winds up going to Gourmet Corp Headquarters, right? And I thought it was kind of cool because Gourmet Corp Headquarters is in like this, what is it called? This field of, field of something. I forget what it's called over here. Oh, here we go. It's called the Forest of Pain, Thornwood. It's like all these crazy like thorns and everything, and then you see this huge castle, man. And it looks like something straight out of like the Wizard of Oz or something like that, you know. But nonetheless, it's kind of neat because the majority of this chapter focuses on introducing us to some characters and seeing kind of what Gourmet Corp is really after. And that really, for me, was the evolution of this particular chapter, and really this series thus far. This kind of, for me, signifies a turning point in the series where, whether it goes right to it or not, it shows us kind of what the end game is, okay? And that's what I took from it. So we wind up getting introduced very quickly to the head chef of Gourmet Corp, which obviously isn't the boss. There's obviously got to be a big boss above him, but this head chef, as we see several pages of just sort of weird dissecting of insects and eating and just the usual nonsense, we wind up being introduced to this dude, and his name is Kudomaru. And Kudomaru over here he's kind of a cool-looking, intimidating-looking dude with his giant handlebar-like mustache that he's got kicking and his really tall hat. And I kind of enjoyed seeing him at the table. And he's calling a meeting, right? And the meeting is basically to go and talk about what happened with the Regal Mammoth slipping away and getting away. And we're introduced to a few other characters as well. Yuu is one of them. And this is, Yuu is Gourmet Corp Branch number 2, Culinary Head. The Culinary Head of Branch number 3 is this cool-looking guy that kind of looks almost like he's on fire, Jerry Boy. So we're introduced to those two. And then, of course, we see a couple of people that returned were from Gourmet Corp, branch number 6, which is Cedre. He was one of them that was actually, he was controlling one of the GT robots, the one that actually fought against and lost against Sunny. And then we're introduced to this other guy here. He's branch number 5 culinary head, Boogie Woods. I thought he was kind of cool looking, actually. They're all pretty cool looking, but really what you wind up having happen here is this kind of meeting of the minds, so to speak. This head chef, Kudomaru, he called this meeting and tried to get everybody there. So far, Tommy, I think they called him Tommy Rod and Grinpatch are not there yet, but everybody else has come. And then that kind of answered my question from the last chapter. We find out that there's actually 3 vice chefs, and I guess they used to have just one. Now they have 3. So that's obviously where that comes from. So obviously Starjun is one of them. I'm assuming this Tommy Rod is another one. And then the third one we know is Grinpatch from him introducing himself at the end of last chapter. So nonetheless, though, they sit around and they start having this conversation, and we wind up finding out about the whole thing. The whole reason for the jewel meat, to get that, is we know that we find out that there's certain things you can eat and eat good foods, eat gourmet foods, and it'll increase you. You kind of evolve, but then you hit this point where you hit this wall, they call it. And to evolve, to get into the kind of the next level, so to speak, if you're looking at like video game wise, to get to that next level, you have to have a catalyst. It's not just like, well, I got to eat more and I get more food in me, or more experience points from winning more battles, and then I'm in the next level. No, you have to have a catalyst. And the catalyst to make that evolution happen is one of these like super gourmet foods. Like the jewel meat was one of these catalysts. And what that does is that'll evolve everybody in Gourmet Corp, including the head chef, including the big boss, whatever, and it'll evolve them and take them to the next level, like with what happened with Toriko, and it'll make them stronger. Now, the cool thing about this is you wind up finding out, and like I said, the whole crux of the chapter for me was finding out why they're doing this. Like, why are you just all trying to get stronger? You're just a big evil corporation. Well, yeah, kind of, but what really is behind it, is that everybody's evolving because what they're going to do is they're planning on this boss and a bunch of, obviously, the underlings. They're trying to get as many people as evolved as strong as possible because they're going to Gourmet World, okay? I don't know about in the immediate future. I don't know if a year from now. I don't know if two... But they're going to Gourmet World to go and hunt after and search and find the ingredient, the God ingredient, right? So to me, that kind of was it was a big reveal. I had no idea what this Gourmet Corp was doing before. Obviously, we knew through bits and pieces that they were out trying to find these great gourmet foods and things like that. But really, until we found out about that whole having to have the catalyst to get past, to get to the next level, so to speak, we didn't really know what their full motives were, So Grinpatch winds up showing up towards the end of the conversation. And talks about Toriko and how, ultimately what happened is Starjun goes and says, listen, it was completely my fault because I underestimated Toriko. And he's probably kicking himself in the ass now because when he went and pretty much ripped him in half and killed him, he should have went and finished the job to make sure it was completely done. Tore his head off, whatever he needed to do. But he didn't. And Toriko, he underestimated him and kind of played with him and pushed him to see where it would go. And Toriko obviously got the better of him and certainly came away evolving from eating the jewel meat. And then, of course, they didn't get the jewel meat. So ultimately, Starjun takes it upon himself. But Grinpatch goes and says, yeah, I get what you mean. I couldn't help but tussle with him just now, too. And he's evolved. And then he goes and he asks that guy, the weird little mutant-looking guy, man, Jojo. He says, oh, and he broke me straw. Can you make me another one even stronger this time? And he's like, oh, yes, sure, Master Grinpatch. Nonetheless, though, like I said, the bulk of the chapter is all divulging and developing right on this particular, point, is that's what everybody in Gourmet Corp is. That's their goal. That's their end goal, is to obviously strengthen up so they can go to the Gourmet World and they can find this God ingredient, right? So as far as I know, so far, that seems to be one of the major points that we see that this series is going to go and pull towards its climax for them, So that was very cool. The last couple of pages, though, it does wind up taking us back to the Aigo Hotel, and for the last 8 or 10 chapters, we haven't seen Komatsu, and love him or hate him, I particularly happen to like the little fella, and have a lot of respect for him after he stood up to Starjun in the Regal Mammoth arc, but of course we had a little break from him in the BB Corn arc. He's back at the Aigo Hotel, and Toriko has come to visit him. He's munching up the BB corn. We find out that the BB corn was actually called that because it was called the blue blood corn, and it was kind of like what the kings used to eat and the gourmet hunters of old, and it used to just sort of be like a mainstay everywhere, and he loves it too, right? And we find out that Toriko gives Terry a big old bowl of it every day, and that's his favorite food now, and now he's happy and hopefully going to get bigger and evolve and everything else. But the bottom line is he asks, he asks Komatsu if he wants to come with him to the city, and he's like, what city? And he's like, Gourmet City. And then that's how the chapter ends, and Komatsu's like, oh, cool, I better get some money out of the bank, and you got a bunch of the other guys like, what, he's leaving again? So, all in all, a very good chapter, and my chapter question, though, for you is, brothers and sisters, what are your thoughts on Gourmet Corp and some of the new characters that we are introduced to? Jerry Boy and you and some of these other characters. And then, of course, not actually seeing this Tommy Rod yet, but knowing that there's 3 vice chefs. Just give me your thoughts and weigh in on Gourmet Corp and what we know of it at this point right now. Leave that in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation. So that's how my arms got so strong. Hey, remember to follow me over on Facebook and Twitter as well.